So we just did an example involving simple interest, solving for the amount of interest, solving for I. But what if we wanted to find something else out? Say we wanted to determine the principal. There's a couple different ways we can do this. I'm going to show you two different ways. The first way is we can rearrange the formula to get whatever we're looking for by itself. So this formula right here, it's set up with I by itself. See how it has nothing else on that side of the equal sign? So that means this formula is set up to find I. But let's rearrange it. Let's alter it so it's set up with P by itself, so we can solve the principal. So remember, in between, when there's no symbol, that means it's multiplying. So we're going to treat this just as if there was numbers there. So we want to get this P by itself, but we need to unmultiply. We need to undo this multiplication. We need to do the inverse. So the inverse or opposite of multiplication is division. And I write that as a fraction. So we divide. Well, I need to undo the multiplication of r. Well, and I also need to undo the multiplication of t. But whatever I do to one side, I have to, always, math rules, do to the other. Now on this side of the formula, I've got an r up top, an r on the bottom. R divided by r is just 1, so we can cross that off. T divided by t, that's just 1. So that doesn't change anything, so we can cross that off. So now, I just got p by itself. And on the other side, I've got I divided by rt. And you can do the same steps to get r by itself or to get t by itself. So let's look at an example. So Morris borrowed $3,650 from the bank to buy a car from a neighbor. The bank says Morris will owe them $27 in interest. If the term of the loan is 45 days, what is the annual simple interest rate the bank is charging Morris? So let's write down our formula we'll be using. I equals PRT. Better get used to using that formula. And let's write down what we know. Let's start with I, the interest, the amount of interest. So it says here, the bank says Morris will owe them $27 in interest. That's the amount. I equals $27. The principal, how much was the loan for? He borrowed $3,650. All right, the interest rate. Oh, that's what we're looking for. What is the annual simple interest rate? That's what we're looking for. And that means the time. The time was 45 days. But remember, time needs to be in years. So to change this into years, we're going to divide that by however many days are in a year. So we're going to go 45. To change that into years, there's 365 days in a year. And I don't know that off the top of my head. 45 divided by 365. 45 divided by 365. 0.1232. I'm just going to round that a little bit. 12328 7.1232. And I'm going to round that to 88. That's enough decimals, I think. All right, so let's rearrange the formula so we can get what we want by itself. We're trying to get r by itself. So I'm just going to Move my formula over here so I can work with it. So I want to get r by itself. Remember, this is multiplication. So we need to undo the multiplication of, well, I want to unmultiply, so I divide, do the inverse of p, and I want to get rid of that t, so I need to divide that. But whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Got a p up top, p on the bottom, they cancel out. T up top, t on the bottom, they cancel out. So my formula is r equals I divided by pt. So let's sub in our numbers. Our I, I'm just going to write over here, was 27. So r equals 27 divided by our principal, which is 3,650, times our time, which is 0.123288. Alright, so I'm going to go to my calculator here, and I'm going to do the bottom part of my fraction first. So let's pull up my calculator, and I'm going to do that long decimal times 3,650 times 3650. Oh, so my bottom number is 450. That works out nice. So I'm just going to rewrite this. R equals 27 divided by 450. Go back to my calculator. 27 divided by 450. Hey, 0.06. It's a nice number. So my interest rate is 0.06. But that's as a decimal. I want it as a percent. So to change that into a percent, I'm going to times it by 100. And that's going to give me 6%. And that's my answer. The annual simple interest rate is 6%. So now, you ready to try out all these self-check questions next? Remember to check your answers and ask me if you have questions. Thanks.